You don't have a problem with consistency. You're just consistent in the wrong things. Your habits reflect what you prioritize. You have to understand what you're already doing in order to change the things that you are doing. Why am I choosing to spend my time doing this when I know it's not doing anything for me? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Girls in Real Life podcast. I am your host, Mariah Clayton. Happy Monday. Y'all, every time I do the intro, I am realizing that we are getting closer and closer to me not being able to say your host, Mariah Clayton, because my last name is going to change from Clayton to Hutchinson. What am I going to do? Y'all, I don't know if I'm going to hyphenate or if I'm just going to drop my last name completely. It is an ongoing thing that I'm struggling with. Y'all know I've talked about it a lot, just like losing my identity a little bit, or just like kind of having this connection with my maiden name for obvious reasons. I mean, like, my entire legacy is being a Clayton. So it's just a little weird that like I'm going to be saying Mariah Hutchinson. Like, does that even sound right? Does that even roll off the tongue? This is your host, Mariah Hutchinson. Oh my God. Anyways, speaking of my wedding, I have my bridal shower this weekend, which I'm hoping will be fun. I'm recording this a little bit earlier, obviously, so I haven't had my bridal shower yet, but the theme is Kiss the Miss Goodbye. I don't really have a whole lot of decor because, you know, we're running on a tight budget. We already spending too much on the wedding. So I was like, I just want to do something simple and low key, but still cute and fun. So I'm hoping that my vision happens. It's just crazy that like we're already here. Like, my bridal shower is this weekend, or was this past weekend by the time you're listening to this. And then Justin leaves for his bachelor trip this weekend. And then the wedding is the weekend after that. And oh my gosh, I'm spilling so much in the first 5 minutes. What is wrong with me? But I also got my bridals back today, and they are insane, like absolutely perfect, and I cannot wait to show y'all in 2 weeks. Oh my gosh, clearly I'm unwell, but I am happy that the wedding is almost here. I'll be happy when like everything just kind of levels out and just goes back to somewhat normal, because I've been thrown all out of whack. I'm so tired all the time. My mind is running a mile a minute, and I just feel like I can't mentally get any rest. So hopefully by the time the wedding is over, I will feel just like a weight lifted off of me, because it takes a lot to plan a wedding, and like all the tiny little details, and making sure that you're going to be happy, but also your guests are going to be happy, and, you know, just trying to have a nice event for everyone to go to. There's still obviously some last minute things that we have to do, but I think for the most part, everything is taken care of. So I am breathing a little bit easier now, but just know it's been a lot. Okay. That's actually kind of why I wanted to do this episode today. We're talking about consistency. And if you guys have been listening to the episodes this year, then you know consistency is pretty much my word for the year. I've done episodes on discipline. I've done episodes on motivation, but I've never talked about consistency. So I thought that now would be the perfect time, especially because I'm struggling right now. I have definitely fallen off track when it comes to my routine and being consistent in the things that I said that I was going to do this year. And we're already in the 3rd month of the year. So the first quarter is pretty much done. So I want this episode to be a reminder to myself, but also to you guys, that it's not too late to get back on track. And even if you have been struggling with being consistent and with showing up for yourself and doing the things that you said you were going to do, it's okay, because everyone struggles with it and nobody's perfect. No one's 100% all the time. But again, I think it's just a nice reminder to know that, like, hey, you've fallen off the bandwagon a little bit, but it's never too late to get back on it and keep pushing towards your goals. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I hope you guys are ready. I don't know how long I'm going to be here, because I think my little recorder is going to die on me. So I'm really going to try and get through this quickly so I don't have to change the batteries. But yeah, to start off, I kind of want to talk about something that I saw on social media that I felt like really described perfectly the things that I want to talk about today. It was basically a video of a girl, and I don't remember her name or like what her at was, but she was talking about consistency, and she literally looked in the camera straight in my face and said to me, You don't have a problem with consistency. You're just consistent in the wrong things. And I was like, don't come for me like that, because you know what? You actually have a point. It's crazy to me, to myself, that I say I struggle with consistency. And then also, just like everyone else, we all say that we struggle with consistency, but that's really not the case. We know how to be consistent. It's just we're constantly consistent in the wrong things. We're constantly choosing to do something that is not being beneficial to us. We all know how to be consistent. The problem lies in where we're actually putting our energy. We be consistent in doom scrolling every single night before bed. We're consistent in snoozing our alarm every single morning. I'm talking to myself. We're consistent in bad eating habits. We're consistent in binging Netflix shows. We're consistent in so many areas of our life. And then we turn around and say that we don't know how to be consistent, or we struggle with consistency, when our everyday life can prove to us that no, you're actually not inconsistent. You're just consistent in doing the things that are not actually serving you. And after I heard her like say these things, I really had to look at my life and be like, dang, what am I being consistent in that's actually not reaping any fruit in my life? And I've already kind of mentioned them, but doom scrolling on social media, I find myself doing this so often. I find myself doing it at work. I find myself doing it when I'm just sitting at home with Ace. I find myself doing it in the bed before me and Justin go to sleep. And it's not a good habit to have, but I am consistent in doing it every single day. I'm consistent in reading my books. Okay. I just finished Onyx Storm like 3 days ago. No, I'm not okay. Don't talk to me. However, I've been neglecting reading my Bible because I've been so invested in my books. It's not that I'm not consistent in reading. I'm just consistent in reading the things that are not fueling my spirit. I have been consistent in snoozing my 4:30 a.m. alarm, okay? Like, I felt like I was on such a good path, and I've totally like gotten off track with my morning routine and just everything in general. But it's not like I can't wake up. It's just I'm choosing to consistently hit snooze every single morning so I get an extra 2 hours of sleep. And then I wake up wondering why I don't have a lot of energy, or I'm feeling rushed, or I'm feeling like I don't have enough time to get things done before I get out of the door. And it's because I'm choosing to be consistent in doing something that I know is not being beneficial to me. So I want you to think about the areas that you are being consistent in your life. What are you doing every single day that is taking away from you doing something more productive, from actually being consistent in the goals and the routines that you've laid out for yourself? It's going to take some self-reflection, but I promise you it's a wake-up call, because I am so aware now of everything that I'm doing, and it just makes me question, like, why am I doing this? Why am I choosing to spend my time doing this when I know it's not doing anything for me? So the first step to getting back on track, or to actually be consistent in the things that you want to be consistent in that are actually beneficial to you, is to identify where your consistency currently lies. Because again, it will help you be more self-aware and figure out where you need to redirect your energy in times where you feel like you are self-sabotaging, because that's really all it is. Like, at the end of the day, us being consistent in the things that we know are not good for us is just us simply self-sabotaging. It's us saying to ourselves, I understand that what I'm doing is not serving me right now, but I simply just don't care. And that is like the biggest slap in the face to you, because at that point, you are the only one stopping yourself from doing everything that you want to do, from being the person that you actually want to be. And it's because you're choosing to be consistent in doing these really bad habits instead of redirecting your focus, redirecting your energy into doing something that will actually propel you further in life. So yeah, it's a harsh reality, but I think it's a wake-up call that we all need to really just dissect what is it that we're doing in our day-to-day that is not serving us in the ways that we need it to. Another reason why I feel like we struggle with this consistency mindset is because we think of it as all or nothing. We think of it as very black or white, no gray area. I saw another video on social media, go figure, because I'm doom scrolling every single day, obviously, but I saw another video where this woman she was like doing these different things. So it started with her drinking a bottle of water and she spilled a drop on her shirt. And then she just pours the rest of the bottle out all over herself. And then it goes to the next scene where she's carrying a basket of laundry and a sock falls out of the basket. And then she just dumps all the clothes on the floor. And then it goes to her painting and she gets a drop of paint on her shirt. And then she ends up pouring all the paint all over her shirt. And it's basically just an over exaggerated way of showcasing how we view consistency and discipline. We have this all or nothing mentality that pressures us into thinking if we fall off of the bandwagon one time, then that's literally it. We failed. So let's say we miss one workout. That means, oh, we might as well quit because there's no way we're going to reach our gains because I just missed my cardio yesterday. Or if we're on a diet and we have like one cheat meal, we think, oh, well, we might as well keep going. And you start binge eating all these snacks and sugars and things that aren't good for you because you've already fallen off the bandwagon. So what's adding more to the plate going to do? Or let's say that you worked really hard to stop doing a specific habit and one day you find yourself falling back into that habit again, and you automatically have this negative mindset of thinking that you'll never change, you'll never be able to quit this because you keep going back to it. So it's like, yes, we have this all or nothing mentality when it comes to being consistent, when it comes to having discipline, because we think that if we're not able to do it 100% all the time, then we're a failure. But just because you slip back into an old habit or just because you fall off of the bandwagon with your physical health, it doesn't mean all is lost and you just continue to spiral down this self-sabotaging path. Consistency is not about perfection. Consistency is about choosing to show up for yourself every single day in spite of the circumstances around you. It's choosing to do something over and over again by a certain standard that you've set for yourself. And what you choose to be consistent in determines your standard and determines how you view yourself and how you view your life. Why? Because your habits reflect what you prioritize. Actions speak louder than words. And if the habits that you are doing in your day-to-day life don't match up with the words that you're saying or with the vision that you have for yourself, then you really have not set the standard. Because once you actually set the standard, everything else flows outward. It's a decision that you make mentally, which then showcases itself outwardly. So a lot of people say that they want to do a lot of things, but yet their habits don't align with the words coming out of their mouth. And I don't know about y'all, but I don't like being a hypocrite, okay? I don't like saying that I'm going to do something and then my actions actually reflect the opposite. Like, I don't want to be a liar. I don't want to be a hypocrite, like, you know? But in this moment right now, as I'm sitting in this chair, like, I feel like I am a hypocrite because, yeah, I want to wake up at 4:30 every single day again. I want to be going to the gym and doing my morning routine and making sure that I'm taking care of things in the house and doing all the things that I was doing 2 months ago, but my actions are not lining up with that. And so I know for myself that mentally I'm not there yet. Like, I am not at the place where I need to be mentally in order to outwardly showcase those actions and those habits. And it all starts here. It all starts with me. And I'm quite aware of that. But I think in this season of my life, I've tried to cut myself some slack and tried to give myself some grace just because everything is so crazy and chaotic right now. And I've got a lot on my plate. But once this wedding is over, hear me very clearly. I've got to get back on my grind. Why? Because it's what's best for me. It's what's going to serve me. It's what's going to be most beneficial to me. The things that I'm doing now, the habits that I'm implementing in my day-to-day life now, they're not doing nothing for me. I'm waking up right before Ace is, barely being able to brush my teeth before I have to go and get him out of his bed. Like, that is not serving me in any way. So yeah, I've given myself grace during this season of my life, but I know that once this wedding is over, I mentally have to make that decision. Like, okay, it's got to click back into place because we're not in this same season no more. And we have to continue reaching towards our goals and doing the thing that we said we were going to do this year, which is be consistent. So raising your standards starts with you shifting your focus. It starts with you mentally accepting the fact that this is what you're going to do, actively preparing to do it, and then exhibiting those habits outwardly. It's choosing to show up every single day, even when it's not perfect, even when the scenario is not great, even though you've been off of your routine for 3 months. Like, it is you making that decision to be like, I don't want to self-sabotage anymore. I want to get back to being the version of myself that is the best. And how do I do that? I start small. I start shifting my mentality here. I start making small changes in my day-to-day life here. And then one day I'm going to wake up and I will see and look back how everything clicked back into place, because I decided to keep showing up in spite of how I felt, in spite of my frustration, in spite of my inconsistency, right? Like, it takes time to rebuild those habits, but it only happens if you continue to take those steps. It only happens if you actually decide to keep going every single day. And we know this, but sometimes we just need the reminder. I want to talk about consistency and insanity a little bit, because I feel like the two are very, very similar, and they are separated by a very thin thread. They both consist in doing the same thing over and over again, but the difference is the result. So consistency means you're doing the same positive actions over and over to build better results over time. Whereas insanity, we all know the definition of insanity, but insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So again, both of these things, we are repeating habits, repeating actions over and over again, but the difference is the result that you're getting from each one. One leads to growth, whereas the other leads to frustration and self-sabotaging behavior. So please don't be insane. Please don't continue indulging in the same self-sabotaging negative habits and behaviors, because it's not serving you. I don't know how many times I have to say it. As long as I keep drilling it into my head, like, I gotta just remind myself, it's not helping you. It's hurting you. Sometimes it seems like we'll never be able to be that person that has a solid morning routine. Sometimes it feels like we'll never be that person that has healthy eating habits. Sometimes it feels like we'll never be that person who can be financially responsible, right? Like, it takes a lot to get there, and it starts with the small steps, like I said. But Newton's law of motion, when an object is in motion, it stays in motion. And that's why the small steps over time result into big changes, because you are consistently doing something that is positive and good, and you won't be able to stop because you're seeing all the benefits that you're getting from it. I'm not saying that you're going to be perfect, and I'm not saying that you're going to, keep up with these habits every single day. But what I am saying is that you will be very hyper aware of the things that are serving you in a positive way versus the things that are serving you in a negative way. And you will have this desire to always want to do the thing that is serving you in a positive way, because you know that if you go down that negative path, the process starts all over again. It's not to say that you'll never be able to get back, but you would be setting yourself back and having to start over from ground zero when you could just be starting from where you are now. And that's like the reminder for me, especially when it comes to like waking up early, because when I first started waking up at 4:30 every single morning, it got so easy because I was doing it every single day. And the minute that I stopped, the minute that I made the decision in my mind that it wasn't important, or that I could actually sleep in today because I don't have X, Y, and Z to do, was the minute that I started the domino effect back to ground zero. And now I can't even barely wake up at 6 o'clock because I've allowed myself to go back to that place mentally where I've decided it's not important, but I know in my heart that it is. And like, I'm trying to get there. And again, I'm giving myself grace, but that's just a personal example that I can give you guys to showcase that like, it takes time to build that habit, and overnight you can break it just like that. It's not just your actions that matter, but it is the result of those actions. And if the results of the actions and the habits that you're doing in your everyday life are not good and not positive, then again, that's where we need to self-reflect and reevaluate what the heck is going on in our life, because clearly we're not doing something right. We're not doing something that is benefiting us to our fullest potential. So how do we get back on track fully? I got you. 5 practical steps. Y'all know this is my thing, okay? I like to have practical steps at the end of every episode just so that you guys can apply what I'm telling you in your daily life. Because yeah, you can listen to me talk all day long, but if I don't actually give you things that you can do in your life that will help you on this journey, then I'm literally just here yapping. Okay. And I don't want to do that. I want to give you guys substance. So I'm going to give you guys 5 practical ways that you can get back on track and be consistent and stop self-sabotaging. And some of these I've probably already talked about, but we're just gonna discuss a little bit further. Okay. First one is you're going to identify what's holding you back. Okay. This is going back to that self-reflection piece that I've been talking about this whole entire episode. You have to understand what you're already doing in order to change the things that you are doing. If you have no clue what's going on in your life, or like why you feel a certain way, or why, you're manifesting these certain characteristics and things about yourself, then you will never know the steps that you need to change it. So being able to identify those self-sabotaging behaviors, being able to identify the habits that are not serving you in the best way, is what's going to help you start the chain of reaction that will lead to your transformation. Awareness is always the first step. Step number 2 is we're going to start small. Again, I already mentioned this, but don't try and think that you can change your life overnight. Okay. It's just not realistic. I was oh my gosh, if I reference one more TikTok video, I don't even know, but what is that woman that like kind of went viral overnight, Kylie Perkins or something, and she's telling people how to run their family like a business and how to like take care of their home and stuff, whatever. Well, they had a woman talking about those videos and saying that type of motivation is only going to last for like so long. It's easy when somebody is like hyping you up to do something, that you get this instant motivation to just go and do it and turn your life around and make all of these instant changes. But it's not realistic or sustainable for you, because as soon as that motivation wears off, then it's kind of like, oh, I don't have to do this anymore. It was just how I was feeling in the moment. It's not important. So that initial thing does get the fire started in you, and it does make you kind of look around you and be like, oh, I need to fix everything. But in fixing everything, you're making it way less manageable for you. So that's why it's always key to just start small. Don't try and think that you can change your life overnight. I know that social media tries to tell you that you can, and that you can like reinvent yourself in 24 hours or in 5 weeks or whatever the case may be. And like, for some people, maybe that does work, but for the majority, it's got to be something that is ingrained in you. And the way that you ingrain something in you is by starting small and implementing these daily habits every single day, to where you can see the growth and to where it's actually a part of your life and not just a moment of motivation. So just make sure that, as you get back on this track of trying to be consistent, that you start small and you start with something manageable, and not something that will have you burnt out in the next 5 weeks. Okay, step number 3, we have got to break this all or nothing mentality, okay? We have to learn to embrace the concept of progress over perfection. Again, I know social media likes to portray this perfection mentality onto everyone, but progress is so much better than perfection. It's so much more realistic than perfection, because perfection is just unattainable. We know this, yet we try to build up to it every single day. Understand that things like this take time to grow and to develop, and you should be proud of yourself every single step of the way. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Stop thinking that you're doing something wrong. Stop thinking that you're a failure. Break that all or nothing mentality. Know and understand that as long as you show up every single day and you choose to try, then that's all that you can ask of yourself. Take the pressure off of yourself to be perfect and embrace the concept that progress is okay. Step number 4 is to create accountability. You don't need to be doing stuff in the dark, because if you're the only one that knows about something, if you are the only one holding yourself accountable, then it's just not going to work, because you're not going to want to hold yourself accountable every single day. It's just the reality of the situation. So you have to create accountability. Who is the person or the people that will help you stay on track? You need somebody, okay? For me, my accountability is obviously Justin. He's been the one trying to get me to wake up at 4:30. Now that he's realized I've been sleeping in the bed, he rolls over and he's like, what's going on with you? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, you not waking up like you was a few weeks ago. Like, what's going on with you? And then I had to tell him like, oh, I'm just tired all the time. And I have so much on my plate. And like, we had the wedding and da 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 da. It's like, I'm sitting there explaining myself to him, but it was nice to know that he was able to check me and be like, what are you doing? Like, this is not the same person that you were a few weeks ago. And like, I just need to check in and make sure that you're good. So yeah, have somebody who can hold you accountable, a circle, or even just one person around you who will help check you when you need it. And then number 5, the last step that we are going to take in order to get back on track is to focus on building momentum. Okay. Again, I'm going back to my Newton's law because it's the only thing I remember from physics, but object in motion stays in motion. So if you are being consistent in your actions, you're building momentum, and momentum creates movement. And once you start moving, you gonna just keep rolling. Once you build that momentum of like showing up for yourself every single day, doing the habits that you said you wanted to do, that is what's going to carry you forward and keep progressing you towards growth. Your momentum is going to be built through those consistent actions that you're doing daily. It's going to come from being disciplined in the small things and seeing the benefit of that. It's going to give you the push that you need to keep going, even when you don't feel like it at the moment, or even when things get hard and difficult. That momentum, you're going to be able to look back at where you came from and be like, I don't want to go back there. Like, I want to keep going forward. I want to keep pushing. I want to keep moving. So focus on building your momentum. Don't focus on all the external things. Don't focus on the days where you didn't do things right. Don't focus on the habits that you didn't do. Keep focusing on you just pushing forward regardless, because that again is what's going to help you progress into the person that you want to be, and that's going to help you achieve the goals that you have for yourself. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the episode. The last takeaway is the same as the first takeaway. We don't have a problem with being consistent. We just have a problem with being consistent in the right things. So I hope that now that we've reached the end of this episode, you now feel inspired and motivated to be consistent in the things that will actually serve you. I never said it was gonna be easy, but I promise you it will be worth it. And again, reminder to myself as I am slowly coming out of this busy season of my life. I am just trying to do everything that I can to get back on track. And I truly can't wait until life just starts to slow down a little bit. The first and second quarter of the year is always just like, what's that Nicki Minaj sound? When she's like rushing and getting ready. Is that Roman's Revenge? I don't even know. Anyways, I'm just rambling at this point, but yeah, this is motivation for myself to just like get back on track, because I need it. I am quite literally suffering, and I don't want to suffer anymore. So yeah, anyways, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, like the episode, comment, leave a rating, all the things. Y'all pray for me as I enter these last 2 weeks of like wedding chaos, because I'm gonna need all the spiritual intervention that I can get. I love you so much. I hope that you have a great Monday, a great week, and I'll talk to you in my next episode. Bye.